Hello, welcome to Connections with Coffee, Justice for All's podcast. My name is Joel DeWitt, Executive Director at Justice for All. I have David Joseph. How does it feel having two first names as a real name?
They say you can't trust someone with two first names, but we'll see.
I know. I don't think I know a lot of people with two first names.
No, that's true. There's not a lot of people with my surname around here. You're either from Haiti or something like that if you have my surname.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Are your parents from Haiti?
No, they're not.
They don't. It doesn't look like you're from Haiti.
No, I'm not from Haiti.
No. All right. Cool. So we're on episode 19 of Connections with Coffee, and yeah. Dave or David? What do you prefer?
Dave.
Yep. Or is it Dave?
Dave.
Do you find a lot of folks, because obviously you're not from here, you're not from the U.S.
That's true.
We'll just jump in it. Where are you from?
I'm from Australia, on the west coast. Right before moving here, we were just south of Perth.
Okay.
Yeah, which is on the southwest coast of the country.
I don't know that means a lot to me.
So think America, and you got California, Los Angeles.
Yeah. Huh?
If that's sort of the.
But it'd be like the other side, right? Because like you're on the other side of the equator, right? You're on the southern hemisphere.
Southern hemisphere, yep.
So right now would be spring. No, whatever the opposite of summer is.
It would be winter.
Winter. There you are. Yeah, I could have figured that out. So it's the winter right now.
Yep.
So the western side would be the side, I don't know.
West is always west.
West is still west.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. All right. I'm like picturing down under, right? So I'm like trying to picture what it would look like upside down, but still on the west.
Yeah, we're not upside down. We're like the directions are all still the same, but it just means that I had to fly across Australia to get to America. So I had to fly from Perth over to Sydney to the east side, and then fly over the Pacific to get to LA and then on to Omaha.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long flight.
Yeah. Yeah. And the continent of Australia is about the same size as the
US.
48,
yeah. Like so I mean flying from New York to Los Angeles, that's a 6-ish hour flight. So you go six across the continent, and then you go 15, I don't know.
So I grew up most of my life on the east coast of Australia.
Okay.
Just north of Brisbane. And so if we were to fly from Brisbane to Perth, it's a 6-hour flight.
Whew.
Yeah.
How big so let's do that. How big is the place? Like you grew up in some place near Brisbane, which how big is Brisbane if you had to equate it to population wise? Yeah,
you're probably looking at around it's probably about the size of Omaha, maybe a little bigger.
There's only Omaha area, so like 1 million people?
Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger, so maybe a couple of million. So it's Australia only has 27 million people in the country. So we're a lot smaller than the US in terms of that. So our capital cities are smaller.
Sure.
But I lived about an hour north of Brisbane, which is on the Sunshine Coast. Sounds like a pretty nice place. It is a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
I grew up there for most of my life, surfing and just hanging out at the beach and doing that sort of stuff.
Dodging sharks then?
Yeah, there weren't too many nasty sharks where we were, but there's a lot more nasty sharks on the west coast near Perth. So
is that okay? Huh. I'm still trying to I gotta look at a map probably so I can figure out. I mean, I can figure out that you're on two different sides of Australia.
Yeah.
But it's the east-west part that's really messing with me right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm picturing a globe. So I'm on a globe, I'm picturing Australia, but I should probably just let that go. So you grew up in a city then? No. Country. You grew up in the country?
It was kind of a mix. There was rural stuff not too far away, but we were on the coast. So it wasn't really farming or anything like that. It was more tourism. So we lived in a place where people would come for holidays. So they would come from Brisbane or somewhere like that to have their holiday.
To a surf. You grew up in a surf town.
Yeah.
Right. So you worked in a surf shop growing up.
I had dreams of doing that.
Oh yeah.
I wanted
you and a million other kids.
I wanted to run my own surf shop.
There you go. How old are you? We're probably fairly close in the same age. Yeah.
I was born 81.
So was I.
44.
Yeah. I turned 44 later this year.
Yeah, me too. Right September.
October.
Wow.
All right. So we're even closer than I would have thought.
Right.
Man. All right. So because I'm picturing. So I grew up in Southern California, so I'm like picturing like
It's probably pretty similar in terms of like coastal. And,
Sure. Yeah. I wasn't on the beach though. I was like, it was all city.
Yeah.
All city. Like, and it was probably 45 minutes to the beach. And then where I grew up, it was about 45 minutes up to the mountain. So like, depending on what season it was, we could do one or the other if we wanted
that's
to.
That's the thing we don't have. We don't have the mountains. We don't have the snow. We don't have that kind of geography.
Yeah. And plus it was always nice.
Yeah.
It was always like 75 and sunny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that what it was like out there? I mean, it was probably Celsius then, but
it is Celsius, but it's like 30, 35.
Yeah.
And, which is
I don't know what that means, but sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is about the same. The weather on the Sunshine Coast in California is very similar.
Oh.
So yeah, just the water in Australia is a little warmer.
Sure.
So yeah.
Oh, I like the warm water. Yeah. That was one thing I know. It was always a little chilly, even in the summertime. Like June, it was like the water was like, I don't know what it was Celsius, but like 65 degrees. Like, that's not warm.
Yeah.
You get used to it, but that's not warm.
Because California, you got the cold currents coming up from South America, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in Australia, you got the warm currents coming down from Asia.
Nice.
So
yeah, I suppose. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, who knew?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
There's no beaches around here, though.
Not with any currents coming anywhere with any waves at all.
That's right.
Yeah, there's different kinds of beaches on lakes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Have you been in a lake at all?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of it?
I've been up to Minnesota and been in a couple of lakes up there.
How do you feel about the fresh water?
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
It's all right. You don't have to I like that salty feel of the ocean, but freshwater's all right too.
Sure.
You don't have to, if you've got like boats and things, you don't have to wash them out every single time you use them.
That's true.
So
that's true. All right. So let's go back just a touch. So you grew up on the surf coast or on the coast where people holiday and whatever.
Yep.
How did you get to did you go to a public school? Did you go to private school?
I went to public school for all of my younger years, and then for high school, I was in a private school.
How do they do? How do they do high school in Australia?
Super different to here.
Yeah.
So like our school terms, our school years go from say the start of February through to like mid-December. So that's
that's your summer though. Would then be
so like December is our summer. Yeah. So we have like our schools are pretty different. So like they'll do a 10-week term and then they'll have 2 weeks off.
Okay.
And then they do another 10-week term and they'll have 2 weeks off. 10-week term, 2 weeks off.
Oh.
So over Easter we pretty much have 2 weeks off, and so every 10 weeks or so the kids get a couple of weeks break.
A little break.
And then over summer it's like 6 weeks.
Oh.
So you guys do
shorter.
Like
they do like 3 months or so.
12-week break once a year. So
yeah.
Then just hammer down the rest of the time.
Oh yeah. They're real studious.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So you graduated from a high school out there, right? Was it a Christian school?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a Christian school.
Your parents raised you in a church, or
They did. They my parents were pastors.
Oh.
And when I was about 10 years old, they went across the country. So I was born in Perth. Then we went across to East Coast for Dad to go to seminary and do that, which he did. And he was pastor of a church from then on, basically. And I was kind of raised to always go to church and do that. But yeah. And so,
do you have siblings?
I have 2 sisters, one older, one younger.
Okay, so you're the middle of 3.
I know.
All right.
Middle child.
So everything's got to be fair, right?
Yeah.
So your dad went. So after you were born, went from Perth. Wait, which side was Perth on?
On the West Coast.
So then you went to the other coast.
East Coast, yeah.
Yeah. From when you were 10 on, and that's where you went to high school and all of that.
Yep.
But you were in the same house, same area from high school on, or was it a bunch of different churches in the area?
Yeah, not in the same house. We moved a fair bit around the area just because my parents had sold everything to go to Bible college.
Oh.
And so they didn't really have much. They were in rentals and they were
scraping it.
Yep. Yeah. And so I actually don't know how they put me through a private school.
Yeah.
They sacrificed a lot to do that,
sure.
Probably. But I didn't really think about that at the time.
Well, not when you're 12.
No, that's right. And so we moved house a fair bit, but we were always kind of in the Sunshine Coast sort of area.
Okay.
Mum and Dad were involved in a couple of different churches there, and some really traditional, some a little bit more Pentecostal.
Oh.
And so yeah, we
like Pentecostal, like tongues and healings and
It was around the era. Do you remember the era of like what did they call it? It was like it was like a revival that came out of America, and somehow found its way to Australia, and people were falling over and doing crazy things and all that sort of stuff. Which I look back on now, and I'm like, I'm really glad I experienced that.
Interesting.
Because it was really full of life, to be honest. Like God was really interesting because crazy things were happening around me. And what it did, though, I kind of felt, looking back now, I kind of felt like it helped develop a little bit of discernment, to be honest. Because you could always tell the people that were bunging it on.
Yeah.
You know, that were trying to, they were kind of faking it. And you could tell the ones that were really touched by God too.
Interesting.
And so
when they fell over with one eye open and they're looking around.
Looking around to see who's watching.
I don't think I'm believing you.
Yeah. So it was interesting. Those years were fun, to be honest, for a 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, that's wild.
And that's the church that I got saved in, really, is because God was doing stuff and he was alive, and it was really attractive to me as a young fella.
Well, I think, the Holy Spirit moves how the Holy Spirit moves is what my thought is.
Yeah.
And who am I to say if it's in you, whatever that manifests itself, like if it seems authentic, that's what I'd be looking for as well. And from what I'm hearing, that's how you were, that's how you're discerning it, right? You're like, that seems authentic. That doesn't seem as authentic. Like, I've been in places where I feel like I can feel the Spirit moving in me, whether that's to prompt to say something or just in the heaviness of the moment, or just in the, whether it's in song or in worship that we're doing, we're two or three are gathered. If we're in church, or if we're in a chapel setting, or if we're in a setting with just people, like you can feel it in different ways.
Yeah, you can. And I kind of go, who am I to say God can't move like that?
Absolutely.
Who am I to say that God won't do that in that person's life?
I'm with you.
And the old, by their fruit you'll know them sort of thing. And it's like, that actually works out.
Sure.
So, but for me, it was a really cool sort of start to Christianity and all.
Yeah.
So
you were baptized by fire-ish, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And then you decided and then what happened? I don't know. After high school, you're in a Christian school. You became a Christian at some point in that journey?
Yeah,
or?
I remember kind of when I was about 18, I was at church, and I just consciously, gave my life to Christ.
Yeah.
I'd grown up in the church the whole time, but it was never really something that, it was always something we did.
Sure.
But it wasn't particularly real to me until that sort of time. And after that, I felt strongly a real call to ministry, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to own a surf shop, like I told you. And so I went to university for like a few months to study business admin.
Okay.
And universities like college in Australia.
Yeah.
But,
I worked that out.
Yeah. And I hated doing business admin. I was like, this sucks, and this is the worst ever. Yeah. And so I kind of was like, nah. And I felt called to ministry as well. So I dropped out of uni and I went to Bible college. So I did 3 years of Bible college. And as soon as I came out of Bible college, I was like, yes, I'm ready for the ministry. I was like 21.
Oh, yeah.
And I was not ready for the ministry.
Like, let's go.
And I was kind of devastated because I was like, all right, I've done Bible college. What do you got for me, God? And there was no churches calling. There was no, there was nothing like that. And I was like, all right, well, I got to work.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So
the cupboards don't fill themselves, hey?
That's right. So I ended up working in the government for 5 years.
Oh. Were you single then?
Yeah, I was.
All right.
Yeah. So I was doing social security, so helping people that had lost their jobs, or people on disability pensions and all sorts of stuff like that. So helping people with finances in that way. It was a really eye-opening job, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. That does sound eye-opening.
Yeah.
So I would imagine the governmental structure in Australia probably a fair amount different than it is in the U.S.?
It's pretty different to the US, and I'm learning the US. I've only been here for a year, so there's still lots of things that I don't understand about the US governmental structure. I'm sure you could be here your whole life.
There's things that I don't understand about the US structure.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Australia is very different in the fact that someone can sit on job seeker payment for forever, basically.
Job seeker payment. Can you give it to me? Like, are you talking about like live off of? What would we call that? Unemployment.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we call
job
it
seek,
or
unemployment. That's what we.
If you're in Australia, you call it the dole.
The dole.
The dole, yeah. It's like that's just a slang term for job seeker payments, and
because you probably have to provide proof that you are actively seeking a job.
You do. So well, that's a loose term, actively seeking. So like you basically just got to show up with some names on a page and some phone numbers.
Like, hey, I went to these places.
Yeah, and I tried my best. You know, but it didn't work out this week.
It didn't work out. Never mind that I didn't shower or didn't shave. Or
that's exactly right.
Didn't even go to these places. But
did you give him a resume? Well, kind of. I wrote it on a napkin. No, it's not quite that bad. There's a lot. It gets tarred with a pretty bad brush, to be honest. But
I know.
But there's a lot of genuine need as well.
I don't doubt it.
And so I have to be fair and say that. But there is a certain kind of stigma for people that are on unemployment benefits.
There's probably some of that stigma a little bit, I would imagine, at least here stateside, of being on disability. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are folks that our ministry has come in contact with or has had run-ins with, or not run-ins, but like while I'm waiting for my disability to get approved, and there are times that I honestly look at them and go, what is your disability? Like, that's kind of what I want to look at, right? And I don't say that because I'm smart enough to not say that, and it's not my place to say it. Yeah. Honestly, it really isn't. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I mean, they choose how to live their life, how they want to live their life to a certain extent, and if we can help them, like it's us helping them with, hey, they needed a lift chair, or they needed a different bed or a couch. Like, for our ministry, it's typically a physical resource, and my thought is always like, if you need a thing for your kitchen or a microwave or a chair, like if we have it, you are more than welcome to have it. Yeah. Absolutely. If it'll help you, this is not my place to say, what are you doing with your life? Like that is not my place to say that right now. So
people feel that anyway, in some ways, because I would work there, and I would help people, and they would come in for all sorts of reasons. Sure. I remember one guy who was on disability who was disabled because he had an alcohol addiction. Sure. And he would not come in until his payments got cut off. So every 13 weeks, he would never open his mail. He was afraid of opening his mail for some reason. And so he was housebound and all this sort of stuff, and he really struggled to get out. But he would come in on the 13th week when his payment got cut off, and he would say, "I've got this big pile of mail here. I haven't opened any of it." And we were like, "What?" But that was part of what he was struggling with. Huh. And so we would open his mail and say, "This is what you need to do," and all this sort of stuff. This is what you need to show us and provide us, and then he would do that, and we'd put him back on payments and see you 13 weeks later. So it was interesting, but you'd have people that you would help during the day, during the week, and then you'd go out surfing on maybe I'd have a day off or something. Sure. I'd be surfing on a Wednesday sometime, lunchtime or whatever. Yeah. And you'd see these people out there, and they'd be like, "Oh, I've been looking for jobs. I have." And you're like in the ocean surfing. You're like, "Dude, I don't really care."
Yeah, right on, man. I'm gonna try to get this wave. Whatever. That's my job. All right. This is not me judging you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so people felt that anyway. So
I would imagine.
Yeah.
You worked at the government in Australia for a while. You saw things. Ran into people out in the water on the lineup, and that's all right. So 5 years go by that you did that. At some point you're married, I know, and I know you have kids and whatnot. So how did that come about?
So
Did that happen while you were working for the government?
it did, yeah. My
Okay.
wife didn't know that she was marrying someone that felt called to ministry.
Oh, she was
the
like,
time.
"Oh, a guy with a steady job."
Yeah,
All
that's right. That's
All
right. That's right. And so, no, she didn't care about that too much. But yeah, we got married. We ended up having 4 kids over the years, and yeah, it was good. So
How did you guys meet? I gotta ask that.
we met? We knew each other in school. She was actually a year
In high school?
above me. Yeah. So,
Oh, okay.
So she was a identical twin. So there were 2 of them.
Oh.
They were pretty, and so I never spoke to them. I never spoke to them. I'm
that
like a
makes
year
sense to me.
younger. I'm like, that's too scary for me. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. And so we knew of each other in school, but we met 7 years out of school, and again we caught each other's eye across the foyer of church, and
Sure.
And then I went skateboarding, and she went out
Yeah.
for coffee with a friend, and we ended up at the same coffee shop. I had a really good wingman that distracted her friend while I
Yeah.
would have conversation
There you
with
go.
her, and yeah, it worked out from there.
Nice. Cool.
Been
All right.
married almost 19 years this year.
All right. All right.
So
19 years.
yeah,
That's a good. So you got married in 2006.
yeah.
Oh, so did I.
What?
Yeah, I got married in May of 2006. How about that?
I got married in September 2006.
Right.
See, in Australia, September the 1st is the first day of spring. So
Oh, sure.
I was like, I can remember that.
Yeah.
And so we decided that day. And
That's just wild.
yeah.
Because like we also got married in the spring, but it was spring up here.
here, yeah,
Right? Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, yeah. So you got married, ended up having kids. So what did you do after? Because at some point during those,
Yeah.
you went to Bible college, you worked for the government.
Yep.
You met her, courted. Children were coming. Whatever. Things. Life's happening.
Yep.
But still in the back of your mind, or maybe you're the front or in the middle. I don't know. Wherever you're like, golly. Could love to be doing some ministry, although you're probably ministering to people in the
Well,
government. Can you do that in your job?
Not really. You
If they
can't
were
really
like-
talk about
you couldn't be like,
Jesus.
"Hey,
You can't-
listen."
You can't pray for people. You can't.
God's got a plan for you. And you're like, no.
No.
Can't say
Occasionally,
that.
I'd have a couple of crazy people try and give me prophecies over the counter. But,
Oh, yeah.
But that was about it. But
When they're fainting. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But no, it was shortly after we got married that one of my old lecturers in Bible college asked me to come and be his youth pastor.
Okay.
And so we felt called, and we did, and so we did that for about 6 years or so. Which when you're a youth pastor in Australia, that means you're the youth pastor, you're the business manager, you're the cleaner, you're the
you kind of catch
the
all of
things.
those duties. As a
And
couple,
so-
you did it together. Like you both
no,
went, or
well-
was it just you? Did she get a?
It's funny in church in Australia. They kind of get a 2-for-1. So my wife was never paid, but she was always expected sort of to be in the ministry. But I was in the ministry and I was being paid for it. And so we were running youth ministries. We were doing youth events, schoolwork, all sorts of stuff. And we had a youth ministry of about 80 kids.
Okay.
In a church of about 250, which was pretty good. And we were doing pretty well, and we were faithful at that, and did pretty well. But out of that, we got offered another job to be a lead pastor at a congregation in Melbourne, which is down the southeast of Australia. And
All right.
and so we were then running.
So you're still on the same
campus.
coast.
Yep, still on the same coast, kind of, but way further south. It's
Okay.
like New York is Brisbane and Miami is Melbourne. So,
All right. Yeah, that's all right.
it's way further south, way
Yeah.
different,
Yep.
and living in a city.
Totally different vibe.
Yeah, so we were campus pastors there for a couple of years, and we were on a campus in a much bigger church of about 3,500 people.
A church of 3,500.
My campus was about 200, 250.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
All right, I'm like trying to equate how this would be.
Yeah. So we were leading that, and we were doing ministry, but we were really struggling financially.
Yeah.
Like crazy. Like we'd had some debt, and we weren't earning much, and I ended up taking on a second job. So I was working Saturdays and Mondays doing repossession work. I was repossessing people's stuff and then doing ministry the rest of the week.
Like driving off with their BMW, but
Yeah,
Jesus
no.
loves you.
Unfortunately, it wasn't
Oh,
anything
was it?
super interesting. It
Okay.
was just people's Foxtel boxes. But
They're what?
Do you know what Foxtel? You know,
Foxtail?
it's like cable in Australia. It's called Foxtel.
Oh,
Like the Fox network, right?
Oh, okay.
And so we have that in Australia as well. But
All right.
to get cable in Australia, you have to have this like it's like a DVD player kind of thing, but
Sure.
with a card in it and
Oh.
all that stuff. It's all of it's online now, but
Sure.
but when we were doing that, it was all kind of manual.
They're like, oh, you didn't pay for your thing,
Yeah.
so I got to come in here. I got to take
come and
this
get the box
thing.
back,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that kind of added a little bit of adventure to my life, but it also doubled my wage. Right, 2 days a week doing that was
Yeah.
the same as 5 days a week in the church.
Wow.
So I relieved the financial strain, but
That helps the
then
bottom line, but you're not there then.
I was never there. I was working 7 days a week for like 18 months, and it was not
that's tough.
wasn't great, and something had to give. So we ended up getting out of ministry at that point.
Yeah.
So
That's difficult.
yeah,
That's difficult.
yeah.
So then what? What'd you do after that?
After that, I did a bunch of jobs in Melbourne, all trying to get back to the Sunshine Coast and come home, because I was like, if I'm not in Melbourne doing ministry, I don't really want to be in Melbourne, because I didn't like the city. I wanted to be at the beach and and back home where my friends and family were. And so I ended up taking a job up there, selling insurance and doing all sorts of stuff. But then
Selling insurance.
I've done a fair few things over the years, but just as a man with a family, you do what you have to do, right, to
It's
pay the
truth to
bills
that,
and
yeah.
put food on the table.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's, I worked for the police during that time
Really?
on the, like, you guys have 911.
Yeah.
In Australia, we call it 000. So you
Triple
dial
zero.
3 zeros, yeah.
Huh.
And
If I was ever in Australia and in trouble, I would not. But now I would know.
but in
Now I would
Australia,
know.
you can, because of America, you
Sure.
can still dial 911
And
get
it'll
through to
just
000. Yeah.
forward you to 000.
That's right. So I did that for a little bit and worked out that I was not good at that at all.
Oh.
So I was taking phone calls, and you'd be sitting there waiting for a phone call to come in. It could be anything from, hey, I've shot my
Sure.
dad, to
Yeah.
I've lost my disabled son,
Wow.
to I don't know, whatever.
Hey,
whatever
my
emergency
cat is
might be.
up in this tree, and
Yeah, and for my whole life, I'd been taught to be empathetic.
oh yeah,
And so in that role, you had to be really cold and clinical.
Yeah.
Get information, pass it on.
Yeah, we're gonna just get it through this, and then we'll pass you to the next person.
I know,
And you're
I was
like-
no good at it.
and you wanted to listen, and you wanted to talk, and you'd be like, "Wow, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. How can I help you?" And they're like, "Dude, just get the information, pass it along."
Exactly. And so I was no good at that, and then I worked at a bottle shop for a while, selling alcohol.
Oh.
I've done a fair few things,
Yeah.
It's one of those things I just had to do what I had to do to make ends meet.
Sure.
And so eventually I got a job back on the Sunshine Coast selling insurance, and was all right at that, but didn't enjoy that either. And I was
Insurance, like property casualty, or like how do they do insurance out there?
home contents and car insurance.
Yeah, that's property
all
casualty.
over the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So like you get a policy, and you're like, okay, we'll cover all the things inside your car. And we'll cover if you do damage to someone else's car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Property
selling
casualty.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that
And
too.
I was okay at that, but I didn't love it, and it wasn't great money. And so I was having a whinge to my brother-in-law one time, complaining.
Yeah, I got that.
And sometimes I say stuff, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
not sure
that's
if
all right.
people understand, but I was having a complaint to my brother-in-law, and he said, well, why don't you come and work with me? I do, doing ropes, and you can earn this much every week. And that was like $5 an hour more than what I was on. And so I'm like, yeah, sweet, I'll do that. So I quit my job and did 1 week training course in rope access, and then that was the next 10 years of my life.
10 years doing ropes.
Rope access, yeah. I was a rope access technician. So that is basically, you see the guys hanging from the wind turbines fixing blades off of ropes.
Sure.
That's the kind of thing I did. And if you go to the city, you'll see them hanging off buildings, cleaning windows.
Oh,
and
I see.
fixing the outside
Sure.
of buildings and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So you just got to make sure folks don't fall.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
So I did 10 years of that in Australia, and it took me all over Australia, to be honest. I travelled everywhere with that one, and in every kind of, there's a lot of applications for rope access. And then that's what I was doing kind of immediately before I came here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to the point. Do you need to drink a coffee? I mean, you've been talking a lot, but I mean, I guess that's kind of the point of connections with coffee, is not so much me talking, but yeah, we'll let Dave talk a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you get to being the director at Atlas in Orange City? Yeah.
Yeah.
We heard the backstory of Australia from when you were.
Yeah. It's kind of a crazy story in that God just did stuff. We met a family in Australia who was who had a farm. We were going to a tiny little church in a country town at the time. We met them. Our families got along, and we just built a relationship with them over the last kind of 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And they got to the point where they were going to sell their farm, and so they decided to do that. The husband from that family was originally from Orange City. He's a vet and so like a dairy vet, and decided to come back and pursue that some more. And he came back a year before his family did, and when he got here, he found out that that Atlas in Orange City needed a director. And he went, Dave, you'd be perfect for this. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I'm still working in rope access on mine sites and doing all that. Our family was living in a small town in Western Australia, and it just seemed such a ridiculous idea that we could move to America and work at a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, good one, Mike. That's awesome. I don't see that. And he said, well, send us your resume and we'll let God do the rest. And so I didn't even apply at Atlas. Like, I just sent my resume to Mike, and he gave my resume to Atlas.
Yeah.
And so the months went by. It was 6 months before I heard anything, and every month he would call me and he'd say, have you heard from Atlas yet? And I would be like, no, I haven't heard yet. And every month he'd call, no, Mike, I haven't, no. And October rolled around. I remember standing at the back of the truck on site at work, because it was the middle of the day for me. It was probably the middle of the night for him. And he rang me and he's like, all right, well, be patient. You know, God's timing is God's timing. And I'm like, well, it would have to be God, because I didn't see, that was 6 months, right?
Yeah, that's a long time.
And I'm like, surely they've got someone else. It would be easier to get someone else,
Yeah, it would be.
And I said to him, I've kind of written it off, because it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so about a week later, my wife and I had decided to, earlier that year. So we'll back up a little bit. We sent our resume in April, and then in about June, my wife and I kind of looked at each other and said, have we shared with God our heart, like actually verbally, actually prayed and said to him what we want, how we want to serve him and what we want to do? And so we basically, we realized that we hadn't done that in forever. Yeah. Like so many years, and we'd been praying together and all that sort of stuff, but we'd never actually, shared our heart with God or what we were willing to do. And so we said to God, we actually sat down together and did that and went, God, use us however you want. We're prepared. We want you to use us. We don't know what that looks like. Yeah. But however you want to use us, we're willing. Yeah. Shortly after that, we felt like we had to get out of debt. Right, so we had to get rid of all of our personal stuff, because we were in ministry before, right? But we had debt. Sure. And it was really hard to be in ministry with debt. Yes. And so we felt keenly that we had to get out of debt, sell our stuff, and be ready for God to use us however He wanted to. And so we sort of put into motion a plan. We'd bought a block of land. We put a container on it. We were going to build a shed house and base ourselves out of that. Yeah. And sell the house we were in, and pay some things off. Pay off all of that debt. Build a shed, and after that we had no idea, right? Yeah. And so we did that. We were in the process of doing all that, and we were just about to buy the shed. So 1 week later, we would have bought a shed. And I was at work and had an accident. I fell over and tore my patella tendon. Oh, ouch. So my kneecap was like floating in my thigh somewhere. That's not good. It was not good at all. I was laid up for 3 months. But we got to a point, and it's kind of like God just went, stop, and I was lying in the hospital bed after surgery, 2 days after my injury, and I got an email on my phone from Atlas. Really? In the middle of the night. And I was like, what? They said, oh, we want to interview you. And I immediately texted my wife. I said, you never guessed the email I just got. It's crazy. Yeah. And so we're like, whatever, God, you know what you're doing. And so we had our first interview with Atlas and told them, I can't walk right now. Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to be able to walk. I definitely can't travel. And so we went down that road. The Atlas was not put off by that at all. And every time we had an interview with them, I said to my wife, this is probably going to be the last one, right? Because this is going to be too much. It's too hard. Yeah. Like visas and all the things. I can't imagine the number of hoops it would be to go international. Oh man, it's crazy. And then so, it all, God broke down so many different barriers to be able to, for us to be able to be here. Yeah. Yeah, it was nuts, but then that's how it kind of happened. It meant that I couldn't do my rope access anymore because my leg didn't work. Yeah, and you got to be pretty fit to do that. But it was like God just totally redirected our path, and mostly because I think we were willing. you know.
Yeah, you put yourself in a position where you're like, I don't know what's going to come next.
Yep.
We have 4 kids. You had 4 at the time, I assume
Yep.
then, and we have this ability, but we're putting it in your hands, and man, that takes a lot of. That takes courage, but it also takes the wherewithal to be able to know that that's what, you know, to know that to want to do that, to know that what needs to be said, and to put yourselves into that position of, all right, well, we're gonna have to thin down what we need to thin down, and be in a position where we can be mobile if we need to be.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's the cool thing. We were already kind of in that mindset because we were thinking Australia ministry wherever in Australia. We didn't think America.
Right.
And so we were kind of already in that mindset to be able to do what we needed to do, and it was cool the way that God worked and eventually pulled everything off. We kind of were just sitting back, watching things drop into place.
Yeah.
You know, just from. Oh, there were so many things I could tell you, but I don't want to waste all of our time. Wow. But one of the main things I remember wrestling with was I had to trust God with my future. Because the visa that we're on is only a 2-year visa.
Yeah.
And so I had to go, what if this is only 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
You know, God, what then? You know, because back when we were in ministry, that's what I didn't trust God with. I didn't trust God with our future then. I didn't trust that he could provide for us. And I didn't trust that, you know, that he would be able to take care of us. And so it was like the same test again. And at the time, I fully failed that test. You know, back when we were in ministry, I failed it. I was like, no, I got this, God. I can do better than you.
Yeah,
and I went after earning.
Yeah, I can find another job. I can find other ways.
I can earn more than you can give me.
Yeah.
And
oh man, that's.
I never said that back then. I totally over spiritualized it.
Yeah.
But it was the same test, right? Because God's now asking us, all right, you got to leave Rope Access and you got to go back into ministry. And I was like, all right, I still got kids. I still need to, you know, do all the things.
They're eating more now than they were probably when you were younger.
Yeah. And so that was the main thing, just being able to trust God with my future and be able to say, you know, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to, and go, all right, we're trusting you, Lord.
Yeah.
That, you know, even if it is only 2 years, if it's 4 years, if it's 6 years, if it's 10, who knows?
Yeah.
But to be able to go, whatever it is, God, you know.
Man, that's difficult for anyone to do, right?
Well, we sold everything we had in Australia, basically. We packed our lives into suitcases.
Let alone halfway around the world, you know, that's...
We packed our whole lives into suitcases. Like, we had one suitcase each. And that's all we brought.
Yeah.
And basically it was on a pathway of just going, God, you know what you're doing.
Yep.
And he does. He absolutely does.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still saying it and then the actions of it doing are two different things.
Yeah.
Right? So you've been out here for over a year.
Yep.
How have you found Atlas in your role, and how has that been for you? And you know, and if you want to, you know, put in some family asides and things like that too, feel free.
Atlas has been awesome. In some ways, I kind of wish I finished the business admin thing that I started in university because it like applies pretty well, but God knows that too. Atlas has been awesome. We obviously, you know what Atlas is already, but it's basically, you know, a Christ-based mentoring for people that are struggling and doing life tough with no one alongside them.
Right.
So we pair them up with people from the community, people from churches, good Christian people that don't have it all together themselves necessarily, because nobody does.
Correct.
But you know, just someone to walk alongside them, and you know, when life gets hard, they do their thing, and so yeah, Atlas has been great.
So Atlas has been great. What has been, I don't know, maybe just jump into the most. We'll do the hardest part first. Like, what's been the most difficult thing that you're like, golly, why didn't you guys think about doing this? Or, you know, like the hardest part of, I mean, other than somewhat assimilating to America, whatever. I mean, I guess I'm thinking more like in the role of director.
Yeah. So it was pretty difficult at the start because you're learning all the things, right? You're learning a new country, you're learning new cultures, you're learning everything. And as much as you think that a Western country would be similar, it's not at all. And so learning that stuff, but then learning the ministry of Atlas.
Sure.
I had to go right back to the start, basically. I spent a lot of time researching and working out what Atlas is. I spent time with Jerry Keefe, who started it, and people that were on the board that started the first Atlas in Sioux Center.
Is there any annals or any record of like when the Orange City Atlas started, and like were there documents and board minutes or anything that you could read?
There was a bit of that stuff, and I wasn't going to go through all of that. Like board minutes are boring anyway.
Oh, for sure.
But it gave me some pretty good insights into people, right?
Yeah,
and who was involved, and when and how long they were involved for, and so I was able to go back to those people and
how long had it been around?
20 years, Atlas Orange City.
Okay,
so Sioux Center's been there for 25. They were the first.
Yeah.
And then Atlas Orange City has been there 20
second.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was
like 2005-ish.
Something like that. 2004.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had a 20-year celebration last year.
Okay. All right.
And so it was really fun and a really big job to work out exactly what Atlas was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I kind of accepted the job going, I don't really know what this is.
I'll do it. Yeah. What am I doing now?
This is an adventure, right?
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time doing that and then lining up what we were actually doing with what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the temptation in a lot of Atlases is to be therapists and counselors when we're not really qualified to do that.
That's fair.
And so that's kind of where we were sort of, we're still doing mentoring to a degree, but it was a lot of kind of, biblical therapy and biblical counseling and that kind of stuff. But the cool thing is over the last 12 months that I've found is that the therapists in town and Atlas actually work hand in glove. It's amazing because we walk alongside people, right? And so we can do that anytime. Whereas a therapist has them for 1 hour a week or 1 hour every 2 weeks. They can't really be their friend.
No.
And when they see them in the supermarket, they can't really even acknowledge that they know them.
Pretty much not, right, yeah.
And so, but for us, we're mentors and we're friends, we can walk alongside, we can see it in the supermarket and say, hey, mate, how you doing,
How's it going?
Yeah, that's right.
For sure.
And actually walk with that person. So we get people who are referred from the local therapists to us. We do that as well. So if somebody's got something real deep that we can't handle, we're like, hey, you need to see a therapist. We'll walk with you while you do that. But we get it the other way too. So therapists will get people and they'll say, hey, you need someone to walk with. We can help, but you need someone to do life with. And so they'll refer people back to us, and that's been so good.
That's cool.
And so just making sure we're on target and not got any mission drift.
Yeah.
Making sure that we're doing the right thing and doing the thing that we're called to do.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Because it's difficult. So my wife is she's a nurse practitioner up in Rock Rapids, and we'll see people, and she will say stuff to me once in a while. She's like, oh yeah, I was talking to so and so, and one of the times when my kids was like, when did you see them? And I was like, she's not gonna tell you when she's obviously they were a patient, and she talked to them about something else during a thing, like it wasn't related to anything that way, but like. She'll see people at the she'll see them at the store. She'll see them out somewhere. Sometimes she'll say something to them. Sometimes she won't. It's a balance in that regard. And I would imagine and that's just in a clinical setting of, I was sick and I had an illness, obviously. But like when you talk about being a therapist, like that's heavy stuff that you probably shared to them in confidence, and they, like other people that may be around, know that they're a therapist. And so then if you know them, that you must be going
how do you
to
know that therapist person?
How do you know a therapist person? Well, that's because I go talk to them. Like,
and the thing is, Orange City is pretty interconnected. Like, it's a pretty small place. It's like you play Dutch bingo. I've learned Dutch bingo pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that everybody knows everybody, and it's so important to keep confidence.
Oh, yeah.
That's like one of the most important things. And for many people, Atlas is just a safe place.
Yeah.
Where they can walk alongside somebody, they can come in. Even during the floods last year, we had people come in and just like, they were like, I just want to be somewhere where I can be angry.
For sure.
They're like, out there, we've got so many people helping us, and we have to be kind to all these people, right?
Yeah.
But inside, I'm angry.
Yeah.
I just need somewhere where I can just explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we would get people coming in and doing that, and just, for all sorts of reasons, we get people.
Interesting.
But It's pretty cool because we don't charge people to come.
Right.
We're completely funded by donors, and so the people that come to see us there's no cost to them, and so. I think that's the temptation then in going down the therapy line, because therapists do cost, right?
Yeah.
But we've got to make sure that we're on mission and working with the therapists in town. Like, some of them are amazing. We've worked out payment plans with them.
Oh yeah.
Where if they chip in some, Atlas chips in some, and that leaves the client with only this much.
Right.
And it's like that's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have so many different diverse needs for people that from all sorts of things, from loneliness to unemployment to marriage difficulties and relational stuff, family stuff. Every family's got their stuff.
Every family has definitely got stuff,
and so
for sure.
And so we just committed to walking alongside people the best we can.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And that's been awesome over the last 12 months, just to learn that and to work out, all right, what's the best way we can serve our community? Is
there anything in the near sight before 2 years are up that you're like, hey, we'd love to have Atlas do this? Or, I know you're like, hey, well, it's a 2-year window that you're in.
Yeah. And that's the difficulty with me, is that my brain can only go 2 years at a time, because, it's up to the discretion of the US government.
Yeah.
When we reapply for our visas, they could just go no. I know that God's bigger than that.
But yes.
And even if they did say no, then that would be our time done. And,
sure.
and God would have something else for us to do.
Yeah.
But He would also look after the Atlas at Orange City.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, like, I can look ahead and go, all right, let's see what it looks like. We're constantly doing new things to engage our community and engage the churches in the local area. All of our volunteers come from local churches, and churches support us really well.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, all those things.
Yeah, good. Well, I don't have a whole ton of stuff. We covered, sort of where you came from, where you were, how you got here, what Atlas is up to. We covered a fair amount of stuff, I'd say.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So anyone that's interested in, if you're listening and you want to become a mentor, you want to get plugged in Orange City or Sioux Center or even Rock Valley area, wherever that might be, you can certainly get in touch with Dave.
There's Atlases all over the place. And so if you are in any of those areas, reach out to whoever your Atlas is. If you're a Christian person that just wants to help people, that loves people and wants to walk alongside someone, absolutely reach out.
You're just looking to be a friend to somebody, man. You didn't try to fix all of their stuff or be a therapist to somebody. You don't have to have a degree. You can just be someone that listens to somebody.
You can just be a broken person like us.
Yeah, for sure. Don't have to have it all together. I don't have it all together.
What is all together?
Fair. That's fair, right? So Dave's been there for a year and for another year, and I guess we go TBD on another 2-year stint on what that can look like. So this is episode 19 of Connections with Coffee, a Justice for All's ministry podcast that we've been doing for a little while. And Dave Joseph, after this conversation, you can trust him, even though he's got 2 first names. I know that's a saying, but we covered earlier, but I trust him. So I appreciate you coming on, and glad to hear your story. And thank you very much for listening, and God bless.